get started with hypnotherapy and frequency healing?
Oh, it's just like just part of the whole journey of learning and growing up. And so I started with just kind of going through meditation, and it started with meditation and being able to enter different frequencies there, and like.
And starting with like meditation, like are you talking about like just kind of sitting in a like a quiet stance and like getting into a quiet place?
No, see, like it was for me, it was more like I had a really hard time concentrating when it came to meditation. It was really like my mind would wander, and found it really hard to stay thoughtless. And really not like just kind of figure out why being present and not overthinking everything. So I found like just different videos on YouTube, different frequencies, and I tried different frequencies out and see which ones spoke to me and which ones didn't. And for a lot less time too. I wasn't sitting there for like half an hour to an hour at a time anymore. I was more like, okay, now I can just enter for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and if one's not resonating with me and my vibration, try out another one. And so then going through different vibrations and frequencies, I noticed that I started to heal myself of a lot of different things.
And was that your main purpose of going into like this kind of, I guess, like what's the word, meditation? Like,
I think
the purpose to reflect. Or
the purpose for me was to better myself, and I was on that constant. Still am. Like it's a constant thing. I always want to be better. It's not about being better than anyone else. It's about being better than the person you used to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
better than you were yesterday. So
yeah, that reminds me of one of Jordan Peterson's 12 rules for life is never compare yourself to someone else, but compare yourself to yourself from the day before.
Jordan Peterson, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I know that one's huge for sure. And I guess meditation is just a great time for you to be able to really stop and really just organize all your thoughts too in a certain way. I know it's kind of funny that to meditate is to really try to have, I guess, is it not no thoughts at all, but no distractions?
Well, there's so many different types, right? And there's different breathing techniques. There's different types of meditation. There's I am affirmations. There's more of an intuitive experience where you're just kind of downloading, and that's what I feel like I've been doing over the past while. Is just every morning I get up, and that's my download for the day is just what am I supposed to learn, who am I supposed to be today, what kind of energy am I putting out there. And
yeah, because I stop and I always put time into like reflecting back on my day, and I feel like that's almost like a form of meditation. Like I guess my definition of meditation has always been kind of like the practice of relaxing or the practice of reflecting, or I don't know, maybe that's just, I put that like a certain basket of goods with that, and I find a lot of calm in just sitting there and just thinking about all the things that I've accomplished. If I were to do everything again today, would I do it any differently? Is there anything that I regret doing? But I guess that is like, would you say that would be a type of meditation, or would you say that
I would say like not for me anyway. Any time of reflecting from the past, like from what I've gained from this is you can't create your future if you're constantly looking at emotions from the past and how did that. So it really is just creating new intentions and living those out. The best meditation I've found was more of an intention meditation, where this is the person I want to be today. This is what I'm going to go out and do. And then seeing it. And then having the emotion tied to it in that. You don't leave that meditation until you feel that. Until you become that person that you are seeing, that you're trying to emulate. You're no longer trying to be kind. You are kindness. You're no longer trying to be loving. You are just at that state of love. And you go, okay, well now I can go out into the world because there's nothing that can stop me.
Yeah, I guess it's about really visualizing it and really like, I guess there's probably some kind of art to even trying to describe it in that very specific way. I feel like that's something, it kind of goes along with that same mentality as like being able to fake it until you make it. Like you think of like, you fake almost what you want to feel like, and you can actually make yourself feel that way with that.
Well, you definitely can make yourself feel that way, for sure, 100%. Like your brain has the chemicals to make you feel whatever it is that you want.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they end up, without even realizing that they're doing it, they put themselves into such a negative mindset. And that's the one thing that I'm really excited about, like hearing how this can really help people, is because I know no one really knows with certainty however anyone else is feeling. Like we only ever have that certain amount of ability to, just through the communication that we can, until we have Neuralink and we can just feel the amount of receptors going off in someone else.
Yeah, but until then,
you're not going to be able to understand fully what they're going through. But I always have this feeling like there is always that opportunity, though. There's that chance that they can find a way to over. Not hijack, but to override what they're feeling, and to feel like something that's more positive, to feel that better version of themselves.
Yeah, and that's essentially what I've done, and so in doing that with myself, and like I had a major drinking problem before, and I had anxiety and depression, and just I was at a funk, and I've had anxiety my entire life. Like it's just something that I thought was a part of myself until it wasn't anymore. And when it was gone, and I realized that it wasn't there anymore, it was like just honestly the greatest just like because I was looking for it. I was looking for that feeling. I was looking for that. Okay, it's time to be anxious now, and then it just wasn't there.
Yeah, because you were always pulling upon it, I guess, back then, and that it was yourself triggering it. You didn't.
It was just a part of who I was, and until I recognized that there's certain things I want to change, and then how do you change things about yourself? You have to start changing the way you think. You have to start changing your thinking patterns, and so I got really big into guys like Wayne Dyer for like my spiritual journey. He was my number one teacher, like by far. Anything by Wayne Dyer, I feature him on my website. Like he's just been such a huge help for me in understanding how everything kind of works. Like how we're all connected, how the universe is all connected. And like we can get into religion too, but like that's kind of why I really enjoyed his teaching, was because it was not religion. It was what he used to always say was, religion is the organization of the truth. So here you have a truth, and every religion out there teaches you that there's something inside you that's greater than yourself. But now the organization of that truth has become more important than the truth itself. Therefore, it's eating away from that truth.
Yeah, I mean, every religion is, the way I would see it is like a religion is a certain way to organize a framework that is beyond it. Like kind of like how a religion is I see it as like a set of beliefs about something to do with this world and everything around it. Everything.
Exactly. And what is something that you believe? A belief is nothing more than something that's been passed down to you. It's not a knowing. It's something you believe because you heard it from somebody at some point.
Yeah.
Whether it was passed down to you from childhood up until now, like it's something that you believe because someone else told you to.
Well, I mean, couldn't you tell yourself there's a certain belief? Like, what about if you had a certain idea suddenly in that spirit of belief? Like, I guess I'm just trying to think, like, on devil's advocate, like, is it possible that you could make your own belief with, like, let's say if you were alone on an island somewhere,
and you believe that,
and maybe you're the only one that's there. Like no one would have told you, I believe that I'll survive this, but you have to tell yourself that. Is it? Who
would know the difference?
Yeah, we never heard from that guy.
Honestly, who would know the difference? And like, so like a knowing is something that you make conscious contact with. And so that becomes like, there's now no doubt it's something you know how to do. And so when you make conscious contact with meditation, then now it's like, oh, that's something that I know how to do and I can do better each time. And now, whereas I used to sit for 45 minutes and be like, half the time going,
yeah,
getting anything.
Yeah, I think I'm relaxing.
I think I'm good. Yeah, you know what? I could, get on with my day. To get to the point where you really truly treasure your moments in meditation. Go, all right, speak to me, source, and what am I learning today? What am I going to emulate today? And what kind of person am I going to be? And talking to that more and more, that part of everyone that not a lot of us take seriously or even
or
listen
ever
to
tap into.
Ever tap into, because there's like, especially now with technology, and there's so many distractions. Like I can't, like, you ever go on your phone and you go to do something, you're like, oh, I'm gonna check my email, and then before you know it, you've done 5 other things, and you're like,
forget
what was I supposed to be doing? And then you go back. It's because you're being bombarded and distracted, and the mind's trying to deal with all that, and it's like, okay, trying to filter out what's important and what's not. And when it's filtering out most things that aren't important, what are you left with? Yeah. Oh, well, what the original thing you were supposed to do in the first place?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. Like, that's something that we're not used to yet. This is probably the first time that like humans have had to get to this point in history where you're taking in so many different angles so frequently. Yeah. Like the equivalent of this before we had the technology where we can go online and look up 1,000 different things or follow 1,000 different people on social media and see just this info, that info. Like it would be the prehistoric equivalent of you being constantly in the presence of 1,000 different people's lives and 1,000 different people's perspectives within the hour, like
just by shaking your ass a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, millions of people, and it's insane that that we're definitely on a new frontier, and it's exciting and scary. It's like our first time on Mars, our first time dealing with all these different types of social media that, mind you, are speeding up as we can fit more processors and larger processors into smaller devices. And we can download things at a faster rate. As 4G turns to 5G, turns to 6G, it is only going to get faster.
But you can't stop and just appreciate that being that is inside you, that is life, that is in.
You're more distracted from it. You're pulled away from it. Obviously, we're not saying that you shouldn't read. We're not saying there's
no. Reading's good for you. Reading's very good for you, and it stimulates that part of the brain, and
yeah, and so there's better things to use to stimulate, and it's just about being able to reflect on those things that you've taken in, because I think that's the thing. It's not that people aren't taking in. I mean, it's a whole separate argument to say you should be, maybe spending more time reading things that might be of more value than, but someone's going to justify, it might be worth watching the Kardashians, and fair enough. Maybe, it's the same way watching.
But your mind's like a sponge, so it's like what you're putting in is what you're putting out too, and you're. Also, it's like a computer, so it's like what programs are you downloading? So it has to do with what you're watching too. And if you're watching the same things over and over again and they're violent, you're going to be more of a violent person, because that's just what you're programming your subconscious with.
Yeah.
And that, to me, in a nutshell, is what hypnosis actually is being able to reprogram your subconscious. When I was able to do it for myself, I was like, shit, okay, how do I help other people do this? And then I was getting into guided meditations, and I was like, oh, I can help people this way. And then the next door was hypnosis, and I saw a guy named David Lyon. I don't know if you've heard of him. Amazing hypnotist in LA. And he was the first one that I saw that actually had authenticity, and he was genuine, and he was talked about all the things that I talk about to my friends and to my loved ones about being that space of love and that energy, and that's what you want to put out into the world and all that. He was the first one I saw that hypnosis wasn't an entertainment thing. And that's what a lot of people think. You're hypnotist.
Yeah, they think it's the same as like a magician.
Yeah, you can do my birthday party. And I was like, yeah, I could, but it would just be a room of people feeling good. That's all. Because that's what I'm all about is giving people that experience to be able to connect to that source, connect to that theta state where change can happen, where you can start rewriting the programs. And all you have to do is tell me what it is you want to reprogram. We can have a conversation. Go, all right, so this is what you want to change. This is what you want to change. Cool. Give me a minute to figure out how I'm going to word that. And then my voice becomes your thoughts once you're in that theta state. And to be honest, man, I was shocked at how easy it was for me to get people into the theta state. I was like, oh, it's going to be all this, you gotta do this and that and get
a lot of barriers to break down.
Yeah, but honestly, it was when it happened for me the first time, I was just like, whoa! I was more shocked than anybody. I was like, anyone seeing this? And luckily, there was a few good friends there to see, and I was like, shit. So I was like, this is just as real as I thought. And then went from a belief to a knowing. It's like, okay, this is something that I know how to do now, and I can help people with this, because the next step is like, how's this guy doing now? Like, is he like, is he okay? Like mentally?
Yeah. You're not breaking people.
Yeah. But what people don't understand is your subconscious runs 95% of your day, runs 95%. Only 5% of your day, and all your however many, I think it's like 60,000 thoughts or something like that. 90% of that, 95% is subconscious. So only 5% of your life you're consciously thinking. Everything else is just through habit, and you don't have to think about
survival instincts.
Yeah, like driving to work or anything that you normally do. It's all subconscious, and that's even down to the thoughts that you think. And like another guy I got really interested in reading about and read. It's Bruce Lipton, his book, The Biology of Belief. And he talks about all like how the body can be healed by itself just through the mind and through meditation. And I was like, what, it can? Like that was amazing to me. But also like how, I know we're getting a little bit off topic.
No, this is all good.
If you can like rein me back at any time and just like say a word and I'll like, but like, it was just, the biology belief was so big for me, looking at like from a scientific point. Now your biochemistry can be changed just through your thoughts, and you can cure yourself of all sorts of diseases and all sorts of ailments.
A lot of
and prevention too. And it's like it's just such a whole thing that hasn't really been tapped into, and the world can use it now more than ever.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is like you're seeing a lot of things nowadays where certain fields of study will kind of branch off into other fields that really do start to overlap with other kinds of beliefs. Like, I guess the one thing I want to say is that there's been a lot of aspects of what, and I'm definitely no doctor, no expert on this, but that a lot of Western medicines seem to really line up with, I guess, not sure if it's necessarily Eastern medicines, but like other alternative medicines, like that they're definitely
more of a holistic approach.
Yeah, and that there are things that that sounded very woo woo back in the day, but so they're like
they've been doing for thousands of years, like, and now everyone's like, oh, look at my way of doing things. Well,
like, what's crazy is like the reality of the placebo effect is like what is just
it's so incredible,
and it's such a powerful thing, and that's like. That is something where I, and I'm a big data kind of guy. I love to learn about like the statistical significance and the assuredness that you can measure with statistics on some experiments where you literally have two groups of people. One group you say you're just going to drink this water, there's nothing in it. Another group you could say this water is, not to say magic, but that there is something in this that will make you feel better, and yet you will. And they'll ask the people how they feel, and most of them will report that they feel better.
Yeah.
Which is just like, is it just the way that they respond? They're just like, yes, I am better, but they're no, like these people actually feel healthier.
And that's the biology belief. Like your mind controls everything. So it was once said, I can't recall the author that said this, but medicine just appeases the mind to do the mind's healing.
Yeah.
And it's so true, because if the placebo effect is like, and it's been proven to be a thing, it's out there, like, then why is it a thing? Why is it work when I take this pill that absolutely is just sugar? Why am I now healing?
Yeah.
And that's the healing power of the brain. And that's like the human mind or the spirit, and those two things combined. Like, it's just, you can heal
better with, like, because and we're just to kind of clarify, like, we're not saying that, like, obviously there are medicines that are necessary, like, if you've got scurvy, you should probably take some vitamins. Like, don't just stop eating so much
you eat raw apples.
Yeah. But like, we're saying that, like, in addition to, and like even on its own, like, that there is such a big positive effect of the placebo.
Well, you ask any doctor that has someone on their deathbed who has a better chance of surviving, like whatever it is the person that has thrown in the towels and now I'm done, they believe they're out, or is the person's like, no, I'm going to live this.
Yeah.
And there was a man named Viktor Frankl, Have you heard of him?
No.
He was a World War II survivor and a Holocaust survivor, and he went on and he talked about how when he was in the concentration camp, how he knew in that camp that he was going to survive because he knew he had to tell that story, and he knew he had greater things to do, to give to the world, and the books to write and all that. And he was and this is just a side note of what he used to talk about, was being able to see the beauty in everything. And we don't appreciate beauty enough. Like, just to be able to just like look at a tree and be like, wow, like just wow, and appreciate that. And he used to be fed like a bucket of warm water with a fish head floating in it, and that was his lunch. And he would sit there and he would stare at this bowl and he would write about everything beautiful he saw in it, and he put it in his book. I can't remember the name of the book. It's driving me nuts. But Viktor Frankl, look him up. Amazing author and human being. But to be able to see the beauty in a floating fish head.
Well, there's definitely something very strong about, in very tough times like that, to have a positive attitude. Like, that would definitely help someone persevere. I mean, I imagine having the positive attitude, the hope to go forward, is what gives you the energy to do what you want to do today, knowing it can get you to that better tomorrow. But those who lost hope don't do that, and they I'm sure that they're probably feeling less healthy, less energetic. I mean, there's definitely like that when you feel better, you feel more energetic. When you feel like crap, I feel like, I better lay down. Like, there's that. It's why you.
Well, that's the defense mechanism that the chemical that's released from the brain saying, all right, guys, we're not feeling good. We need to heal. We need to go to sleep. We need to regenerate ourselves. And that's the best way to do it, is to just take it easy and rest. And 9 times out of 10, when you go to the doctor and you ask, like, they say, well, drink lots of fluids and rest. That's going to solve everything. Well, because you are like, that's your body naturally healing itself.
Yeah, and sometimes, like, that's all people need. They just need to know that a doctor is the one telling them this. It kind of calms that pain.
And then I don't have to be at work for the next 17 days straight. I just need to,
Yeah, I can take all this time off, stay home. Viktor Frankl. So, that is...
oh, yeah, look at all those books.
Man's Search of Meaning, The Unconscious
Man's Search of Meaning, that's the one I was looking for, yeah.
Yeah, that is incredible, about just even looking at the beauty of, a candle is all you have, or of a fish head is all you have right now. And, like, honestly, like, there's something about that it just keeps you motivated and keep you going. And, like, of course, there's probably some people who have the, there's still other circumstances, but, out of those that had the chance to survive, I'm sure it really, it helped, and it's incredible to have, like,
it's the amount of impact that it had on the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. And then, like, you can start to look at different things, and like, if you claim to be a victim of something, then you're cutting yourself off from the rest of the world of what you were actually trying to teach, and seeing the perfection in it, and seeing, what your role is to play. And, like, life to me is like a movie, like, everyone in my life, in your life, there are different movies, but and everyone has a different role to play. Some are big roles, some are minor roles, and some people are just people's just an extra walking around in the background. Like,
everyone is the main character of their own movie, but that everyone has a different. And there's some movies there's crossovers. It's so true,
and then there's sequels.
I guess if you have kids, or the next generation Star Trek. One thing I want to know is, when you tell people that you're going to hypnotize them, is there ever a lot of fear? Are there a lot of people who are like, maybe this isn't a good thing? Maybe?
No, because it's not from that place. And once I kind of explain all that, there's a lot of people that say, oh, don't hypnotize me. And I go, well, I'm not just going to hypnotize you. Like, it's not like I'm just going to walk up and, boop, and away you go, right? Like,
it's my wallet or something.
Yeah, no, it's not like that. At least I don't have those kind of powers at this time.
And those kind of intentions either.
Yeah, I think the intention's everything, right? It's what do I intend to do? I don't intend to entertain people with it. I intend to help people with it. And it comes from a loving space. It comes from, there's a lot of trust involved too, to be able to go into someone's subconscious. Everyone thinks that I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna like bring up a bunch of things from the past.
Yeah, you're not there to cause a mess. You're not there to bring.
No,
up
I'm there
painful.
and I'm there to install subconscious thoughts for the future, how behavior pattern changes, changes in desire. Like maybe you desire smoking all the time, and now you're not going to desire smoking anymore. Once you take the desire away, the addiction falls apart. There's just no more need for it. Obviously, there's certain things that have more of a chemical addiction to, but cigarettes is not one of them. Cigarettes are one of those things that people are addicted to, and it's a mouth fixation.
Yeah,
it's like not the nicotine's not the worst part of it. It's the fixation, and that's why people gain weight when they quit smoking. It's
but you look at have something at their mouth to eat instead.
But if you look at like certain things like alcohol, if you quit cold turkey, you get sick. Heroin, you get really sick. Caffeine, you get headaches. With cigarettes, you stop smoking, nothing happens. You just start breathing better.
Yeah, and that is
and
crazy.
it's really like when people like go out for a smoke, they have not visited their breath patterns all day. They've been in a shortness of breath, which causes the entire body to now be under stress. When you're being chased by a lion, your stress mechanisms kick in. Your heart starts beating faster. You start breathing quicker. You're not You're not in a state of meditation where like, there's a lion right here. I am fine. That would probably help you out better. But
yeah,
having that calm presence. But no, you're gonna run, and so every instinct in you, your body's built this way to run away from.
Yeah, so now we're constantly in the state of stress. We're constantly taking these shorter breaths, and we don't even realize.
And then now the problem to that stress is smoking the cigarette, which really is just a trick in the mind, saying that that's what's causing you to have that relaxation. When really it's just you haven't had a deep breath in a long time. You got to go outside and you got to go.
Yeah, well, and no doubt there is some chemical to it, but what you're saying is it goes so much farther beyond that.
Yeah,
and it really is so much about just the habit of it. Like I know that there is a dopamine rush when you smoke a cigarette, but it could even be like, a lot of people when they go out for smokes, they smoke in groups, and there's definitely a dopamine rush associated with like conversing with some people. I mean, if they're good people. If they're
you get that good feeling. You get that dopamine. You get the serotonin. You get that just
we're
wow.
social creatures.
I want to create that again, and I want to create that again, and I want to create that again. And so your mind's going, well, how does that happen? How do we get into that state of feeling good all the time? Because that's what we want to feel. And so now it's confused because you're putting something harmful in your body, but at the same time it feels good. That's like if it feels good, do it. Like that's and so it's just being able to tell the mind, and all that's like you can have all those things. You can have those connections, and you can have those good feelings without whatever the addiction brings to it.
So I'm curious, how long have you been doing this kind of therapy?
So like not long at all. I haven't had a paid client yet. I'm still in the very baby stages, and like I was telling you kind of off camera too, it was just I want to let this unfold as organically as possible. I'm not rushing this. I'm not looking for a get rich quick.
And that's not even what it's about. Like
it's more of a get rich slow scheme, which has been my whole life. It's just slowly.
But it's more about like just seeing how many people you can help too. And I mean,
exactly.
The fact that there's any kind of monetary payment along the way is just a bonus to allow that to go even further. Because I'm sure the transition would be to eventually let this be like a path that you could sustain yourself on entirely. And how amazing that would be. But
I don't want to jump into that right away going, look what I can do, and then try to figure out, like, I wanted it to be more, how many people can I help, and how many people can I actually help, and how can I do this more? Mm-hmm. And if it does work out that way, and as I continue to grow, and as I continue to get better and help more people, then that it's no doubt that's going to be a part of it too, and then I'll just have more time to help more people. And
that's what I'm excited. I'm really excited to do this too. Is to give more testimonies is always a really good thing with any new venture. I mean, even I'm sure just from the few people that you've had this opportunity to conduct this with, I'm sure even just from the strength that they've found and I guess the intimacy they've been able to find within themselves with their with their actual brains, with their mind, like to have that time, that ability now to reflect better on things, to kind of let go of things, to be in the moment. Like those people are going to be like, what's the word I'm thinking of, like spokesmen for you. And that's what's an amazing thing, is then you'll hopefully have more people that are brought closer to you to be able to experience that themselves. And I think that there's definitely a lot of people out there that need this training. Like it's almost like it's something that has to be done at some point. Like it's some people will definitely have more of a natural ability to meditate and to find like ways to really de-stress, and whether they know the word meditate or not, some people have it built into them. But then there's a lot of other people who don't have that. Like even I'd say myself, like it's not something that ever comes easy for sure. It's something that requires like almost like what I would think of as like the perfect moment, like the perfect stars aligning of like having no one to disrupt me, no time sensitive matters at hand, nothing nothing really pulling away, no distractions at all. And if you're able to kind of bring that kind of that kind of peace with that many people, I think that
I think that's gonna kind of as I do it for sure. But what you have to understand is that what you're like what you're saying right now with making sure everything aligned, it already is. It's just synchronicity, and it's once you open up to that, you start to see it more, and you start to see how it plays a role in your life, and how you go, oh well, that's cool how I got that call at that time, or that person, and it's almost like telepathy in a certain sense.
Tuning into it.
Well, if you think about it this way, we're all just like a different frequency, a radio station. We're all just on a different frequency, and some people have low frequencies, and those are the people you want to avoid. Those are people that just annoy the piss out of you, or just kind of like, like they're a low vibration, and everything's a vibration. Like our life is a vibration. Energy is a vibration. It's all vibration. So people with higher vibration, when they walk into a room, like say you walk into a room, people are like, oh, Dan's here, yay! Like you have that presence to you, and you have that energy that you bring with you. It's a higher vibration. So whether you know about it or not, you already are it. So start to recognize the synchronicities around you, and not thinking that if everything's a certain way, then things will work. Everything's already working out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, I guess like everyone would have a vibration, but I wonder if like would other people see you as the same vibration that you're giving out? Like, is it that it is?
You can feel it, like
because no, I'm just thinking if you had, let's say you walked into a room and there are people that could look at you favorably and people that could look at you disfavorably, and I wonder, those two people looking at you, do they take the same energy that you're giving off, or do they put their own filter on?
That to me sounds like a more of a them problem. If you go into a room and all you wish upon people is good things,
and it's genuine,
it's genuine, and it comes from like, and like we can talk about that now for a minute too, because I used to be a very judgmental person, but I used to also be like a very self-loathing person. I did not like who I was at all. Like I just didn't like this guy. We get along great now. I love this guy. But like up until just a few years ago, it was an internal thing. That's like my anxiety stemmed from that, because like I was always just like, oh shit, these people are thinking this of me, and I gotta act a certain way so that they like me more, or like, and then like it was just changing those patterns and going and changing it from a judgment to genuine love for people. Like instead of like, you don't define anyone with your judgments, only define yourself as someone that needs to judge. So when you judge someone, you are also judging yourself. You are taking that on yourself. Someone that judges himself will judge other people.
Yeah, and I guess
someone that loves himself is going to love other people. So someone that abuses himself, they're going to abuse other people, and it's a reflection. So if you can come to a space where you go, I'm just going to put out love, and it's almost like a superpower, like, and it's such an amazing feeling when you can go down the street and you can say hi to someone and not be like, like because you have to, because it's what they're going to expect or what the reaction is. I remember like, it wasn't even that long ago, just a few years ago, walking down the street and being like, all right, I'm going to work and I'm going to have to talk to a lot of people, and, I better save up my good energy for that. I better like store that up, and then I would just be eyes down. I wouldn't talk to anyone on the street. I would just be like, I'm going in, someone said hi to me. I would, break out of that and talk to them. But it was very like me oriented. And then when I went to work, it was like, okay, now I can be the person that I wanted to be, but it wasn't genuine. It was an act.
There's a certain amount of energy you could exert when you're not being yourself, when you're like playing this other role almost.
Yeah, and it was exhausting.
Yeah.
It was exhausting, and it wasn't until like just kind of stepping into that like the better version of myself and going, okay, now I don't need to be worried about any of that crap anymore. I don't need to worry about if I put out good, then that's all I need to be concerned about. I put out love, that's all I need to be concerned about. Anything else is just the details. And then there's me problems and there's you problems. All I need to worry about is how I give love to the world, and how how they respond to it. That's a them problem.
Yeah, and that's the one thing too. Like just a minute ago, you were talking about how whenever you're judging someone else, you're judging yourself, because it's so true. Like you judge people on the things that you're critical of yourself of. Like, like if I think that my hair is always a mess or something, then I look at other people.
You're gonna look at other people's hair.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I mean, that person could use a comb. Like I do stuff like that, or like things where even if you're like, oh, like it's just like a human instinct that I feel like a lot of people have. You gotta try to get rid of. Is like it's keeping up with the Joneses, or like the looking at other people's things and not and it all, you're so right, it all stems from like a personal level. And that's like whenever you're looking at someone and you're looking down on them, it's that you're trying to almost be like, well, I feel crappy because I don't have a Ferrari, but I feel better that I'm taller than this person. Or like people do that, they find other things to try to make themselves feel better than other people.
Well, you have two ways. There's two ways to have the tallest building. You can either build the tallest building, or you can just knock down all the other buildings.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do the latter. They choose to knock them down, and that makes themselves feel better. And really, they don't understand the vibration they're putting out there, and they're making themselves look like the smallest building out there.
Or like the phrase crabs in a bucket. Like a lot of people, so if you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket, if one crab tries to walk out of the bucket,
they all claw it down, right?
Yeah, they pull it down. And so rather than, if they let each other one by one, they'd all get out. But if you could leave a whole bunch in a bucket, they'll keep each other down.
Stupid crabs.
And people are like that. I mean, I'm not a biologist, but they talk about the reptilian part of us, and I think crabs and reptiles are very crustaceous. So maybe that's something that we still have in us.
Yeah, well, it's so much of it is, and we're probably going to talk about the theta state, which is the hypnosis state. But you're in that theta state for the first 7 years of your life. It's
like our default state, I guess.
Well, it's just a lower vibration. It's a lower frequency. So for the first 7 years of your life, the brain waves in your brain are between 0 and 3 hertz. 3 to 5. 0 to 3 is delta, which is sleep. But 3 to 5, you're in theta, and that's the programming stage. So that's why kids are so imaginative, and they can daydream all day long. They can imagine, like unicorns and flying trains and all sorts of things, monsters under the bed. Like they can imagine it all because they're built that way. And it's also a very important part in a kid's life because that's their programming stage. So any characteristics that you're going to learn for the rest of your life, until you look back and go, oh crap, that's the way I am because of the way I was raised. And the first 7 years of your life, you have kids that are abused and have a horrible home life. Like your statistics will show that like 90% of those people are in jail. Like it's just a pattern, and that's what they learned. That's what they learned in that programming state. So that's what they know as an adult. Until you can make conscious contact with it and change it, you're just gonna repeat patterns that you don't even know you're repeating. That's why, like, a lot of times you'll have someone say that, like, oh, you're just like your father. And then, like, you'll see someone get really defensive, like, no, I'm not. And that's when, like, the biggest fights are, like, oh, you're just like your mother. And then, like, it's like, oh, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you didn't. Because you can't see your behaviors the way, because you have the same, it was built into you, and you can't see your own behaviors, right?
Yeah, from being nurtured, being around your parents from that young age. Like, so as you age, so like, let's say if your dad was 25 when maybe you're learning to ride a bike or something, and maybe you're 5 years old, your dad's 20 years older, then I don't know, okay, maybe not even ride a bike, but even just observing any other kind of behavior, like maybe going on a hike and seeing the way that your dad chooses to navigate on a path or something, or the way that he keeps the sun out of his eyes, like just some learned habit that by the time that you're 25, like you might be doing that exact same thing, that same method, whatever that thing is, that similarity you have with your father. It makes sense. It's built into you. Like
you're like a sponge that age. So even something like the little characteristics, or like how, like, where they keep their wallet, like how they talk to people at the bank. Like it's such like,
it's so built in and so also learned and kept in. And yeah, you're right. Like you mentioned that it's one of those things where you can't really change it until you can acknowledge it, I guess. And that's where you'd have to be.
And then you have to have the desire to change it, because if you look at it and go, well, is that the worst thing I could be, right? And then you would just not change any of your behaviors. But once you identify something that you don't like in your thought patterns and who you are, because let's face it, like me right now, you right now, we're a product of every single thought we ever had up until this moment. Yeah. Every thought has brought us right to this moment to be sitting here with this plexiglass between us.
The same as like every action has a reaction, and that is the series of thoughts that brought us to the thoughts.
So if you break it down, it's all a product of thoughts. Then why wouldn't you want to change your thoughts if you could be a better version of yourself, and you want to, be able to create your day in such a way where you wake up and you go, all right, I'm creating this day. Yeah. I'm not just wasting, like I'm not spending another 12 hours at work, or I'm not going to school and doing this and just getting through and getting to the end and then going, oh, what's next for me? You're creating your day going, all right, I have the opportunity to go into, let's say, to go to school, and I have the opportunity now in that school. I'm going to see probably 100 people in that day. How am I going to affect that 100 people? Yeah. And it goes to the have you ever heard of the Maharishi effect?
No.
So Maharishi was an Indian poet and author I'm not sure when he was born, but when he started to do his studies in the States, it was in the 1970s. And he did it in LA and in New York. He wanted to do this study in big cities to see the effect of group meditation, and then releasing those people, so he would get as many people into a cathedral as possible, all meditate to the same frequency, and then release them out in the world and see what happened. Look, and the one thing they used was the crime rate
as like a way of determining,
and it was like 15 to 16% in all the cities, all the major cities, that the crime rate had dropped because of just people being good in
the amount of positivity, the ripple effect.
And so that's the Maharishi effect is the whole theory is 1% of the population can affect the rest of the population.
Oh, absolutely.
So you and that 100 people in your day, now instead of looking at it inwardly, like I'm going to, okay, how is this going to affect me today and whatever, you got to look at it like, I have the opportunity to affect 100 other people. How am I going to affect their lives? Even if it's something as simple as like, buying someone a coffee, or, just smiling at someone, helping someone that's clearly needs help, and just being a good human in that day. That's what the Maharishi effect is all about. Now you're making a positive change, and that's what I want to do with hypnosis. Is I want to start off with me and my clients one-on-one, but like anyone can do hypnosis. It's built into us.
Yeah.
Anyone can hypnotize anyone else. It's
something that can be learned.
Yeah, and it's just like anything else. It's a skill. You just got to practice it. I was fortunate enough to be able to practice on my daughter, who is, she's 12, and through COVID, we got really close in a lot of different areas. But she was open to that, and she's like, "That's cool. I want to learn it." And so, I was the first student or client of hers. She hypnotized me. She was able to get me into that theta state, so I got to know what it felt like too. and just to be able to do that and give that to other people, it's almost like just awakening people by putting them to sleep. It's
an incredible gift to have. I mean, if someone came to me and said, I could give you the ability to, give people a better understanding of who they are, or give them like a better way of organizing their thoughts, or of just tapping into a better state of being, like to feel less stressed, to
focus more, to you want them to play guitar better. Like there's things that your subconscious can go, okay, well, I can increase this focus, I can increase the amount of time that is important to me, and now I can focus more time on that. And it's finding out what's really important to you and what your priorities are, and then going, all right, so this is what's important to you, and that's what we want to focus on.
So you were saying before that between, I believe you said 0 and 3 hertz is what your brain is the frequency your brain is operating at when you're asleep, and then is it from 3 to 5 is when you're in the theta state?
That's the theta state, yeah.
And then I'm curious, was there one beyond that
there's several beyond that. So there's the next one up would be alpha.
What happens in alpha?
Alpha is like everyday activity. It sometimes can be conscious thought. It's just a slightly higher wave than theta. Theta is daydream. So anytime your subconscious is taking over, oftentimes when you're driving a car and you get to your destination and you don't realize that you've driven to there, and you're like, and then you get worried. You're like, oh crap! I just drove on autopilot. But that's because you're in theta, and your subconscious is like, don't worry, I got this. Drift off, do what you got to do. That's
crazy.
Yeah. So
we've
that's
all been there.
Yeah, anytime you're really just off and daydreaming, that's theta. It's also right before you go to sleep, and like we talked about, the first 7 years of your life. But right before you go to sleep is a very, very powerful time too, because now you can do it on your own in your bed. You don't need a hypnotherapist there. You can just go on YouTube and be like, all right, this is what I want to accomplish. I'm going to put that when I go to sleep. So that period that you're falling asleep, that's theta. Your mind's now programming itself and going, all right, I'm listening to you. And then before you know it, you do that over time, like anything with repetition, it's just going to become part of your subconscious. It's going to be something that you now know and now operate on.
What's an example of something that someone would listen to when they're in that state right before they're going to bed? Like something like you don't need to smoke, or like is it
that would be there's no smoking hypnosis videos out there. I mean, we're in a time now where like you can get anything on YouTube. That's how I learned how to hypnotize on YouTube. Like it wasn't like, I mean, yes, it was the actual field work of actually doing it. Like you can't learn just by watching somebody do it, but they give you all the steps.
Yeah, they give you all the tools you would
all
need.
the tools, and then it's practice, and then But I mean, you can learn anything on YouTube. So it's just repetition, and I was in the hospital 3.5 years ago. I got severe pneumonia. And it was at a time in my life where I was just drinking heavily and eating hot wings every single day. And it was not good for my body. And I actually went chasing after my dog, who went chasing after a goose in Lake Ontario, right at Ryerson Park.
That's such a Canadian thing. My dog was chasing a goose.
He was chasing a goose, eh? And he was way out there, and I could see him there, eh? And
everyone needs a good goose chasing dog.
Yeah. So yeah. We had my dog had gone chasing this goose, and the goose just kept bringing him out into the middle of the lake, and it was around Easter. The water was freezing, and so my wife and I were down there and scattering. It became a tradition. We scatter Easter eggs down at the beach, and the kids would go. And so anyway,
right.
Dog saw a goose, took off. And he was out there to the point where we were screaming for him, calling for him, but he couldn't see the shore. He was just swimming back and forth in this cold water. I'm like, oh no, buddy.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going in. So I went in after him, and I got severe pneumonia. I was hospitalized for a week.
Wow.
It was, they thought it was my heart. That's why they kept me so long. But it was the pneumonia that had caused my heart to enlarge so much that it was pressing against my chest. And
wow.
Like if I didn't get to the hospital when I did, it would have been
Wow, thank goodness. 'Cause
Yeah.
they were able to, I guess they probably had to sedate you or calm you or something.
They gave me something, and I don't even know what it was, but it was just like, okay, I'm not gonna die.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah, but if I look at it like the person I am now, I take better care of myself. If I was in that, like, if I were to go in the water now, would I be hospitalized? Probably not. The pneumonia probably wouldn't affect me the way it does, but because I was living like that for so long, my immune system was like, you're on your own, bud. Like,
it's such a compromised state.
Yeah.
You're and that's the one thing that they said about COVID that was so interesting was that, you know, in two ways it really tested who had their pants on is the one way they say it. Like, you know, who was vulnerable with their health and who was vulnerable with their finances too. I mean, it's crazy how many people have been knocked out of work and especially you look in the United States, like just how you know, so many people like are in those kind of service jobs, and you've got literally millions of people who are also obese in the States, and it's just crazy. Like when COVID hit, there were so many people that, like, you know, really was like a big check for themselves. Like, okay, maybe I should have more savings, and, you know, maybe I should have more more time to look at my health.
Yeah,
and,
that was a big eye opener for a lot of people. But if you look at it like from like our standpoint, this probably went through the world in the 60s and no one knew, because there wasn't the amount of fast food and processed, like, and the immune systems of everyone today are so different from, like, people just aren't taking care of themselves like they used to. And
another thing too is that, so there were a lot less machines that were doing like the type of work that, like, people were doing back then. Like, there's definitely a lot of innovations that have made it so that humans have had the ability to work away from, like, labor intensive jobs, like physical labor jobs. So it was just our way of life back then was so much more I guess in line with what our human DNA needed. Like, think of it, for millions of years, if you believe in, you know, evolution, that we have evolved from being other beings before us that didn't have the technology we do now, where they were able to you know, use their bodies a lot more. I mean, if you look at, like, a chimp, I think it's about 3 times pound for pound more powerful than a human. So it would take a 300-pound man to have the same amount of strength as a 100-pound chimp. Again, not a doctor, not a zoologist. Those are.
Are you creating a new fighting league right now?
Oh yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be chimps.
It'll be called UFC. You fight chimps.
Well, another thing that interests me is that Mars has 1/3 of the gravity. So imagine if you had someone train on Mars who was 300 pounds, to have them train there where they're only having 1/3 as much, you know, gravity pulling.
Are these your ideas?
Well, no, this is
because this is brilliant.
I mean, Mars honestly is 1/3. It's 1/3 the size.
Yeah, but like, no, to bring someone to train on Mars, like, who's doing that? Like,
okay. Well,
you're an innovator. That's awesome.
I think we'll get there one day. Elon Musk will get us to Mars, and then we'll start the first. We'll have the first Mars soccer team, but then right after that, we'll have the first Mars fighting league. But yeah, so with the theta state, you said that people are in that for the first 7 years of their life, and then is it that people slowly start to develop that other frequency? They start to go into.
You start to go into alpha and then beta, and then there's gamma, which is like super brain, like your flow state. Like, that's when you're like, all the ideas are coming to you, and you just, or you're at work and you're, you know, professional athletes, when, like, hockey players and football players, you know, those guys that are in flow, that are just, everything's kind of firing and wiring in their brain perfectly. That's gamma, and it's very hard to reach through meditation. I was able to do it once, and it was insane. Like, it was like,
just, I feel like it's when you're tapping like every portion of your brain.
And I was just like, I got up and I just started writing a whole bunch of things down. I like filled out like 3 papers like this, and it was just like, I don't even know. It was almost like beautiful mind stuff. I was just like, yep, and this is a thought, and this is a thought, and this is a thought, and then just like, and then I was able to look at it and tie it all together and be like,
wow,
yes, and then it was such a cool experience, and I was like, but it was something that I was called to do in the moment. It wasn't something that, like, I've really tried, and something like, it was like, all right, I'm gonna, and like we were talking about before, when you listen to different stuff on YouTube and whatever, I just found a gamma wave. I was like, I'm going to try and reach gamma waves. I don't know if I did. I think I did, based on the results of it. But I could have been in high beta,
Is there a way, like, is there an easy at-home way to do any of those kind of tests on your brain? Like
Yes. I haven't purchased one yet. It's in my Amazon cart
list.
Yeah, and it's it's called a Muse, and it's the more affordable ones. I mean, there's ones that you can get that are like thousands of dollars, but the Muse one is a simple little headset, and you can plug in to your phone. You can download the app, and then it'll tell you the frequencies that you're on during different meditations. It's really cool.
Wow. And
it's a tool I want to use in the future to be able to do that and be like, all right, so during this is where you were. During, this is... but that's more of a meditation side of things than it is a hypnosis, because hypnosis, you want to be in theta. You want to be in the programming state. You don't want to go... you don't want the brain thinking too much, because now that's not the whole purpose of it, is to be able to reprogram your subconscious mind. If the mind is conscious and batting ideas around, it kind of defeats the whole purpose, right?
So how do you get someone into that theta state? Like, what is the method, and like, how do you know when they're in that state?
It's very well. You just kind of know. It's like, so there's three things you need to be hypnotized: relaxation, focus, and breathing. So if you have those three things, then it's really, sorry, four things. I forgot the main one is following directions. So if you can follow directions and be like, okay, like pick up this pen, and you do that, and you go, okay, so now I'm going to, when I count to 10, you're going to close your eyes, okay? And then you do it. And then now your subconscious, you're letting the person's subconscious kind of take over and go, okay, this is what it feels like. Now you're following directions. Now you want the subconscious to be able to take over and like, okay, I got it from here. We trust everything that's going on here. And we trust that it's going to be a positive, because like we were talking about before, with your subconscious being 95% of your day, of your conscious, of your thoughts, and your conscious thought is only 5%. The 5% still overrules the other 95. Your conscious still overrules your subconscious. So that's why, like, when I hypnotize people, it's not like they're trusting me and they're like, well, when I come out of this, you're going to make me do something stupid. And that's what people's fear, that's what their fear generally is like, oh, you're going to make me cluck like a chicken. And it's like, what would that benefit you and what would that benefit me?
Yeah.
And really, the conscious will overrule. So the conscious will say, no, like, if it's not for my greater good, I'm not going to do it. So when you see people like that, and they do the stage shows, like, those are all set up. Like, those are people that, and our friend Carly is a perfect example of that, because as soon as I got into this, she's like, well, I told you, like, I've been hypnotized before, and she told me her story, and she was paid, I don't know, like $200 to, and they told her before the show, this is what you're going to do, this is how you're going to act when I put you under, and she just went along with it because she wanted the $200. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there are those people out there that are doing it for entertainment value, and like, I think that it's more, there's such a healing benefit to it that overrides anything you could do, and that stuff's kind of fake anyway. Like, when you get people to do, you get like the sex hypnotist and stuff, like, you're not going to be able to get someone to do something they're not already willing to do. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it would definitely, if you get, say, like, for a sex hypnotist, for example, you got 10 porn stars in a room, you go like, all right, I'm going to hypnotize you to fuck each other. It might just happen.
It's something probably already wanted to do.
Like, it's one of those things where it's like your conscious is more powerful than your subconscious, so it has the final say of what it does. And if it's something that is like, you're not going to be like, oh, I was asleep. It's not like that. Like, it's a state where you're aware of everything around you. You're aware of my voice. You're aware of everything. You're at peace with everything, and you're just listening and you're downloading. You may not remember everything I say, but it's in there. And that's the cool part, is like, I can bring someone out of a trance and then be like, all right, do you remember anything? No. Wow. But how do you feel? Amazing. And that's all that counts for me, is that they come out of it feeling better than when they went in, and that the positive subliminal messages were received, and now they do feel better, because that's just something, when you wake someone up, when you slowly bring them back from theta back up to alpha, you want to be saying those positive things. All right, you're feeling better. You're feeling 10 times better than you were going in. You're coming out of this. You're stepping, and a lot of it's like the intention that we were talking about before, and being that person that you want to be, and then stepping into that. I use that a lot in hypnosis as well, where it's like, all right, now imagine that person. So now you're activating a little bit of the imagination as well. You're projecting what the person is that you want to be, and then in that theta state, stepping into it, seeing how it feels. All right, now go out into the world and be that.
Do you find that some people are easier to hypnotize than others?
Oh, definitely. The first person I was able to, well, my daughter was the first person I was able to hypnotize, but it was a friend of mine, Mike, and he was the one. He was the very first. Like it was at a bar setting. We were out just on the patio, and he was really interested. I was like, "Do you mind if we try something right now?" He's like, "Okay." He was a little resistant at first because it was in public and he didn't feel comfortable, but it was just he let the whole thing go through. He's like, I'm like, just relax. That's the main component is relaxation. And then got him to breathe, and then got him to focus. And then, it was like I got him to that point, and I was like, I know he's gonna, when I snap my fingers and say sleep, he's gonna sleep. And he did, and I was even shocked at it myself. I was like, shit, okay, cool. We're in business, and yeah, but like I've also I had the chance to hypnotize someone with severe anxiety, and I was like, okay, so when was the last time that you remember being able to relax? She was like, never.
Wow.
Never, just constantly anxious, constantly just thoughts everywhere. And I was like, okay. All right, so that one was a little bit tougher because now it took so long to relax, but there's something called, in hypnosis called fractionation. And that's where you bring someone down. And I know that the first, I know they're not in theta yet, but I get them to play along with me. All right, I know you're resisting, that's fine. Just listen to my voice and relax. And you kind of coach them through it while they're still very much not in that theta state, but you act as though they are, and then you bring them back up, and then you try and bring them down again. It's almost
there's methods to it.
It's almost like when you wake up in the morning and you hit snooze, and you have that snooze for 5 minutes, and it goes by like that. But each time you wake up, you go deeper. The next time you go deeper, your sleep goes deeper.
No, I've definitely experienced that.
Well, yeah, you can go 2 hours, and you're like, I had the alarm set for 5 minutes, and it's like, because every time you wake up and go back down, it's called fractionation, and you are brought up and then back down, and you go deeper.
Wow.
So that one, it took, we probably by the fourth time of bringing her back up and going, all right, now, and then it was just it was a focus thing, and got her to really focus and breathe and then sleep, and it was, I finally got it, and I was like, okay. But then you always have to have the conversation afterwards. Like, okay, so that time, how did it feel? Because I don't want them to bullshit me and just be like, oh yeah, I was there and I did this. That doesn't help me at all.
Yeah.
And it's okay if someone doesn't get hypnotized. It's okay. It's not it's a two-way thing, and it's such a unique process that it's amazing that it works at all. It really is. And so if it doesn't, I'm not like, oh, well, it's a failure. It's just like, okay, well, maybe we'll try something different next time, or we'll try a different setting, or
it's like any kind of therapy. Sometimes it takes multiple sessions.
Yeah.
Sometimes, a lot of the time you can get a lot of work done on the first, but sometimes it takes multiple tries. And it's even this, same thing with if you have an injury and you need even physical massage therapy, or if it is more like psychotherapy, or if it is more of even just seeing a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Sometimes there definitely can be that huge unearthing, that big step forward in that first session. So yeah, I think.
And it's also being able to experience that state too. If they never experienced it before, at least for the first time, and since as long as she can remember, I got her to relax, and now she knows what that feels like. And that's a huge step. And the next time we go, it's not going to be 4 times going under for her to get her under. It's going to be a lot quicker because she'll be able to she'll be like, okay, well, this is what it was like last time, and it was really like just it was like being in a trance, being totally aware, but it felt good. Like it's hard to describe the feeling. It's like it is a meditative state where you're just like, all right, I'm at peace with everything you're saying. You're giving me positive affirmations. You're telling me the person that I know I can be and what I need to fix, and just it's such a beautiful state to be in. So anytime, that's why I love being in meditation, and I want to be able to get people that can't really meditate and show them what it feels like, because when you get hypnosis is just a quicker meditation.
It's a shortcut to it.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like, so how long are you typically actually putting someone into that hypnotic state? Like, is it like 5 minutes that they're under?
Like from the start to the end of most sessions is about a half an hour, and in that theta state, anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes.
Oh wow.
Well, it really depends on what it is too. Like smoking is a much more in depth, because you have to. There's a lot more to factor in. You have to go to something that someone does every single day repeatedly, and that's their habit, and you have to try and just reaffirm that it's something that they don't want anymore. And someone that doesn't really genuinely want to quit is not going to quit. They're gonna waste your time and their own time by coming in going, I want to quit. Well, I'm doing it because my daughter wants me to quit, or I'm doing it because my parents, they don't want me to smoke, and that if you're not doing it for your own reasons and you can come up with a list of reasons why it's important to you to stop, then there's no point in doing it, right?
Yeah, and I guess just the one thought I had is like, let's say you're like, I'm quitting smoking because my parents want me to. It's like, well, no, it's that I want to quit because I know that my parents would enjoy it. Like, there's ways that you could even take some of those things and like
make them your own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what you've got to, like, I guess the important thing is make sure that you acknowledge that and look for the real reasons that you're doing something.
But even just a serotonin release hypnosis would be like, you could do it for 5 minutes. You could go under and just be like, and then bring someone back up and have them feel so much better about just everything. And like my friend Mike that I hypnotized in public, it was such a great experience for me because getting to hear how it changed his life. And sometimes he's like, dude, I'm a different person. Like the next day he's like, I got up for a walk, and I haven't done that in a long time. I go for walks every morning now. Like it's like, and I meditate frequently, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just like my eyes have been opened a bit, and it's like that to me is what it's all about. Is
well, no, and that's like the most exciting thing about this is like knowing that you could make people happier, you can give them a better life and allow them to achieve the things they want to, and then that create the happiness in them. What's funny is I don't know if it was necessarily in anticipation for this and for you coming and being able to go through this therapy with you, but I actually wrote down like a list of like things that I want to achieve and things that I want to be able to do and not to do. Simple things like eat better. Like really, I want to be able to acknowledge the things I eat. Like not just like have half a pack of bacon and just think whatever, just it's breakfast, a few slices. I wanted to kind of get better at keeping track of the things that go inside me. Even thinking about like the amount of alcohol that I would have. Like, just is it that maybe I should just not have any? Like, why do I even have like one beer once a week kind of thing? And then also like thinking about how there's so many things that I wish I was doing that I'm not. Like maybe that I need to run at least once a week, or I need to at least like work those leg muscles more. Just like there's all these little goals that I thought here's some things that I think would make me happier if I was able to do them and achieve them. And so yeah, I was thinking like, what other things can I improve beyond that? And other thoughts would be things like kind of like we've already discussed, just about being able to realize that it is always worth being, or not if you're getting chased by a tiger, but to put yourself in that relaxed state as much as possible.
Yeah,
to put yourself in a state.
Well, so and it's the thing of like less is more. Like to do less. Like you're listing all the things that you want to do and you want to accomplish and you want to become, and just instead just do less and let it come to you and let your intuition take over and figure out what actually is important. Like, is it all something you don't have to set yourself like that? I gotta do this all the time, or I'm gonna like cut back on this, and just be, and then the right answers will start coming to you, and you know what is good for you and how to do it. Like, and that's the same for me when I went through a bunch of changes. I'm still like, I'm not saying like I'm any better than anyone else, or this is where I am on my journey, and it's exciting to be here right now, talking to you at this part in my journey. But I know like there's other steps, and there's so much more to go. But to be able to see that, here, this is the person I used to be, and I was constantly worried about everything, and this is what I wanted to do more, and then going to that state every morning and going, all right, what is it, and being intuitive and receptive to what it is I'm supposed to do. And then it's the same with my like daily workout routine. I kind of zone out and just listen to different frequencies, if not the same one every day, and it's almost like it is in essence yoga, because that's all yoga is, just different movements, and yoga means to be one, I think.
You can always Google that.
Yeah, one with self or one with source. It means something like that. I'm not that far off that people are like, no,
one love.
Yeah. But it's like it's just different thing, and I'll find myself halfway through an exercise and be like, oh, I guess this is what I was doing. Like, I just let it unfold, and I go, okay, well, this is how my day is gonna go. Like, yes, I still have to work 40 to 50 hours a week, but I can still. How lucky am I that I can affect all these people? Like, I not just people, my immediate circle of people, but people from all over Canada now.
Yeah, like,
where it used to be all over the world, but now, like, because of COVID, people can't travel over borders and stuff. But now more of Canada is showing up to Niagara-on-the-Lake, and it's like, look at all these people from all over the country that I get to affect in any way, shape, or form. Whether I may not connect with all of them, and they may not receive me as I'm putting out, but again, that's a them problem.
But to try to put as much positivity and to try to increase the happiness of others, so that you hope that as they move to their new place where they reside,
now they can do that and then just spread
that positivity.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited to actually try this out. I'm not sure if I'll be able to walk into theta, as I'm hoping I can get into theta mode. But yeah, I'm ready to try the hypnosis if you are to administer it.
Oh, sweet! Yeah, just give me a moment.
And
we didn't even talk about that and the name and all that.
Yeah, so where'd that come from? Like, obviously it's got to be tragically hip inspired.
Right. Well, the hypnopotamus was taken. Apparently.
That would have been good.
Yeah. Apparently he was a character on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He was a hippopotamus that hypnotized. But actually, no, this was my first go-to. It was actually a drink that I created as a bartender back when I worked at Empty Bellies in Welland.
Oh, wow.
And we used the hypnotic liquor, and it was just a play on Tragically Hip, and my all-time favorite band. And it was just fitting that, with Gord Downey and how everything, like, it was such an emotional journey for me. Like, every single album that the Hip has put out has been a different time in my life. Like, from when I was in high school, when I started listening to them, to my daughter being born, there's an album associated with that, and my son being born, there's an album associated with that. And then, at Transformation was when I was living in Mississauga. We talked about living there, and I was just at a point where it's like, what am I going to do? Like, do I go to marketing school? Do I go finish trades work? Like, what do I do? And I was like, so there's so many different parts up until the last album where it was just like they were there, and it was just synchronicity at its finest. Like, it was always speaking to me, and then it just felt perfect. Because I had gotten into this, and I just registered. I had, during one of my downloads, it was like it just kept coming back. Like a lot of the poetry that I write, it's not just there. It just comes in segments, and it just keeps bugging me until it's like, all right, fine, I'll do it. And so Tragically Hypnotic is one of those things that just kept bugging me, and then it was on Canada Day of 2020 that I registered the domain and decided to use that And I wanted it to be as separate from ego as possible. If you notice anywhere on the website, like I don't have a lot about me or anything. It's just I don't even really. I talk a little bit about me, but it's not the focus of it. It's really about helping people, and I want it to be as far away from the spotlight as possible when it came to this, because that's not my intention. My intention is to help people, and it's not to be, I don't want to fall into the trap of look at me. I don't want.
Well, and that's the one thing I like about your page is that you also have some of those videos showing like here's some of the inspiration, here's where some of the ideas come from, here's some things associated with it.
Because I'm at a point right now on my journey, like we're talking about, that like it's not. I don't feel like it's coming from me. It's coming from inside of me, but it's not like I don't want to stamp my name all over and be like this is me. It's not, because it's whatever that other thing is. It's the divine, the source,
it's
people call
us.
it God. It's and people that are taking credit for it are kind of losing. I mean,
losing touch.
Of that source. So I wanted to steer away from having my face on things and being the poster boy and being that, because like that's just not me anymore. I want it to be about the healing. I want it to be about the process. And
well, I'm really excited to for us to share this, and or have you thought about even having, I guess, like social media down the road attached with this as well?
Oh yeah, that's all in the works. But like I said, it's unfolding organically, and I, this was actually one of the first steps. Like I've never done anything like this. Never done.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity for us to share with as many people as we can.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for doing this. I mean, this is something that I wanted to do for a really long time, and all it took was just asking you, do you still do podcasts? This is what I'm doing right now, and you were just like, boom, let's do it. They were doing it tomorrow.
No,
and it was just like,
you were literally the one who brought it up, and you're the one that conjured it, created it, and I'm just here along for the ride, and I'm lucky that I was able to accommodate this. And no, I think, well, I mean, I was about to say, like, even if you helped one person, it would be beneficial. I mean, you've already helped me. I mean, well, we're going to see if, I'm going to pray now I can keep up with all the goals that I have on there. But
yeah, no, do less, honestly. Do less and make it a focus on only how what your journey is going to be. And just start listening to that more. And when you do that, you're going to be on the right path anyway. You're not going to be craving these foods, because you're going to be treating your body a little bit different. You'll be like, oh no, I want you to be here for the long run. I want to, I want to take better care of you. And it goes down to the littlest thing, of like a food choice, or what you're putting in, and looking at it more as a fuel for your body, rather than I'm just hungry and I need to eat.
Yeah, having that better connection with it, being able to just, I forget who said it. They're saying it's funny with something like weight loss, that it's not even about that it's like, oh, I suck because I don't do that thing enough. It's not like, oh, I don't run enough. It's that, no, it's that there's something I'm doing too much. It's literally not doing something is what you are trying to do. And it's funny how even it's the activity of trying not to do something can be that much more difficult than the action, than the effort.
Well, yeah, because it's actually easier. It's so readily available. It's easier to go out and get that food that's not good for you than it is to make something, and like then to not do it, than to just sit at home and go, well, I'm gonna
I've eaten enough today.
I'm you found your off button. And fasting's such a huge thing too. Like you got to be able to tell your body that the mind's in control, and just to try fasting for even a day. Just do a 24-hour. The easiest way to do that is you eat say you eat at like 2. Right? Make it substantial, because you're not going to eat again until 2 the next day. And it's really, once you get past the state of like 9, 10 o'clock and you go, you know what, I've already beat it, essentially. Morning's easy. Morning, your body figures out. You might be hungry for a little bit in the morning. Just keep filling yourself with water, and it goes away. And by the time it's 2 o'clock, you're like, you could eat again, but you could also maybe push to 3 or 4.
I'm really excited, because we definitely need to do this again. I'd say within a month or so, because it's something
to see how much deeper you can go.
Yeah,
because I feel like there's still, like with a lot of people that are just opening up, and you're someone that doesn't meditate very often. Like I said, it's gonna take a little bit, and we're gonna like. It's just really cool. It's really cool for me, honestly, like to be able to do this with you. I'm really honored to be able to do this, and I'm grateful for you for having me here and doing this, because this is like, it's just another experience. This is another person I've been able to, you know, share that with. And when we went on camera, I'm like, I gotta tell you, I was boiling, like, because it's just so much energy. And it's such a beautiful thing, because it's good, positive energy.
Yeah,
and
it's easy to be passionate about something like that, and now I can see it in you, and like you've given me that experience too. I mean, you've opened me up to a whole nother discipline, or a whole nother aspect of life, really. And so for people that want to get a hold of Adam, tragicallyhypnotic.com. Any other way, or that's just send them to the website?
To the website. Like there's everything's under the emails in there. Like
I'll include the link to it in the description. Any post that I put this up. This will be up on YouTube. It's probably where you're watching it right now, people. And I'll even try to get this as an audio version, maybe just something that you could even put on the website to download. We can do all of that for sure. But yeah, no, thanks for coming on, and yeah, I'm excited to see.
I'm excited to see where you're at in the next little bit too, and to do this again.
Perfect. All right, thanks, Adam, and thanks everyone for listening. Have a great night.
Thank you.